Hello everybody, it's your boy Mark here, and we're going to be jumping into an older series. How old are you asking? Well, obviously it's like 5 years old by now. That's crazy to think about. But the series I'm talking about specifically is SC2VN, or StarCraft 2 visual novel. Now, this is a series I done such a long time ago, but honestly, I think it's an interesting thing and maybe like just super fun to continue on to with the current setup that I have now. Not only that, I want to say I have a lot more full finished series of games versus like I played an episode or two of this game. Like we got to 3 episodes in with this one, and I want to see what the end of the game looks like because the visual novels are interesting. So, with that being said, let's just jump right back into it. Alright, here we are in SC2VN. So I spent a bit of time looking in the deep depths of my channel and finding the exact spot where we last left off. So here we go. Hopefully, if you haven't seen it before, please go back to those videos. I know they're old and they're weird and not super great quality, but that's where we are, and that's where I'm jumping in. Alright. Even though I barely interacted with this guy, I can't help but feel a little anxious as I edge closer to his PC. Sure, he was a bit rude when we spoke, but the chance to challenge a KPGA Pro is too good to pass up, especially if I'm trying to step up my game. He's about to jump into a match when I clear my throat right behind him. He subtly alt-tabs, then turns to regard me through his half-lidded eyes. Or like, ugh. What? Excuse me, would you mind a practice game? No, I'm just here to... He pauses. Recognition floats across his face. You're the guy from All Out Attack yesterday, aren't you? I nod sheepishly. Mm-hmm. His only reaction is to stare on. For a moment, he looks ready to dismiss me and get to laddering, but at the last second, he nods. Alright, one game. With a final nod, I return to my station. A moment later, he and I share the same game lobby and are ready to jump in and begin. He's playing on a barcode account. Typical. How have I still not managed to catch this guy's name? A sharp tap against my headphones announces Jet's return in displeasure. You're obnoxious. If you lose and embarrass me by association, I'm going to pretend I don't know you. Anything else Jet has to say is drowned out along with the sounds of golden zone fire when I pull the earpad back on. Ooh, that was actually pretty loud. If the idea behind practicing against good players improve, I should probably play standard. Still, the temptation to all in is always there. How sick would it be to grab a quick win on a KPGA player? Let's do standard game. It's probably best that I follow Jet's advice. I opt for a standard macro management game. This guy's build permitting. I take my natural expansion and begin teching up. The match progresses quietly with only a few brief skirmishes with his stalkers and my marines. My scans show that he's not doing anything out of the ordinary. One of us has to make a move sooner or later. I start constructing my starport and researching my bio upgrades. I'm surprised to find that they finish without any pressure coming to the Protoss army. This could be a good time to go for some drop play and try to snipe one of his critical tech buildings. If I were to play aggressive drop style, I need to be confident in my control and the fact that I can outplay him. On the other hand, the game has been exceptionally quiet. If I could get up another expansion, I'll have a serious economic advantage going into the late game. Get aggressive with dropships. Duh. Dropship play is a defining characteristic of a top Terran player. If I win this, it's a good indication that I can stand toe-to-toe with the best players in Korea. It's time to put my practice to work. I gather enough units for an attack at my starport as the first dropship finishes. It's imperative that he doesn't see me move out, so I make sure his watchtowers are clear and avoid places where Protoss players commonly leave their observers. When my dropships are in the clear, I fly straight to his base. He's unprepared for the attack, and I unload all my units to snipe some important tech buildings. pretty loud, actually. I'm gonna... Yeah. Sound effects is like that. There we go. With the damage to his infrastructure drone... Oh, done. My units retreat for safety of my dropship. That set him back a ton. The game is going incredibly well, so I decide to pull back my aggression and build up an army for a final push. It's been too busy defending a decent standing army, and when I roll in with my assault units, he kites back, bobbing and weaving away from my forces while delivering pot shots. I give chase, the taste of victory, tantalizingly close. I manage to corner his army, leaving him with nowhere to run. But as I move to deliver the final blow, he flanks me with half dozen Templar, showering my army in high damage storms. I pull back frantically, but my army is left in tatters. Tatters? Oh wow. Damn. I try my hardest to gather enough units to mount a second offense, but he continues to crush my attacks with only a handful of well-upgraded and well-microed zealots, stalkers, and archons. How the hell did this happen? My lead is gone. Frustrated, I box all my workers and charge towards his base for a final attack. With my SCVs on the front lines, I have enough power to take a direct engagement. I roll through his fourth base uncontested. Yes, he's giving up ground because he knows he can't face me. Emboldened, I drive up a ramp leading to his natural and to end the game. Alright. And find myself face to face with an ambush. My front line evaporates, granting Ichu the command to retreat, and he crushes what remains of my army a few moments later. I can't believe it. I lost. I stare blankly at the screen for almost 10 seconds before I finally type GG and quit out of the match. I don't have long enough to sulk in defeat before the KPGA player makes his way over to me with a smirk. As promised, Jet is nowhere to be seen. Hey, you actually know how to play. Wasn't expecting I would have to try. It's a compliment, regardless of how condescendingly he said it. Though it's difficult to be graceful in defeat, I try my best anyway. I played my game the best I could. Kept vision on you, dropped when I could. But it wasn't enough. Sucks, man. It's one thing to lose carelessly, but it's another when everything goes as planned and you fail anyways. His grin darkens to one without humor. Is this guy serious? What the hell is your problem? You demand a game and whine when you get a little pushback. Look who's talking. Everyone knows your type. The foreigner who makes a name for himself. You fly out there on a whim, waste 6 weeks of training. You aren't the first and unfortunately won't be the last. Your plane ticket doesn't buy you the right to call yourself a pro gamer. Save your money and your time and go back home. I feel the heat rise in my face, half in anger, half in embarrassment. I've never dealt well with confrontation. But before I can say anything else, Jet steps out from around the corner and cuts between the two of us. Still great at making friends, huh, Bolt? He glances between the two of us, surprised. After a moment's pause, the so-called Bolt seizes back his smirk and meets Jet with a step forward. Been a while, hasn't it? What's a supposed Star League champion doing with trash like this? Bolt looks past her and tilts his head towards me. I take a step towards him, but an open palm from Jet stops me from going any further. Maybe I shouldn't be surprised. Jumping ship to a scene bloated with foreign money has its upsides. But it won't be long before you forget the dignity of a pro gamer. The dignity of a pro gamer? You make it sound so distinguished. You've changed for the worse and you don't even realize it. How sad. It shouldn't be much longer until KPGA finally accepts that there's no future in Brood War. You're smart enough to know what happens then. But hey, the scene could always use more casters. Whatever you say. For the record, what excuse did you give your coach for another day off? VIP's a little more lax than Shock T1, but I might want to borrow it someday. At that, Bolt scowls. Jet doesn't waste the opening and strikes again. Don't worry, Dong Sang. Your secret's safe with me. Run along now. I'm sure you've got coins to flip or something. The standoff lasts a moment longer before Bolt lets out a lazy shrug, instantly killing the intensity of his expression. I've got better things to do than offer advice to a mouthy chobo. Do what you want, kid. He thumbs his nose at me and returns to his station without another word. As soon as Bolt's out of sight, Jet takes my arm in a vice and practically drags me away. You had the game won. What the hell was that? An SCV pull-up at 15 minutes? Is this what they teach you on the NA servers? Even after a heated confrontation, her concern is with the match before anything else. I almost laugh. My drops crippled him. I thought it would be enough to end the game. So build units for 2 minutes, then roll him. Don't be so damn impatient. Your upgrades were late too. Her pointed critique diffuses the tension from moments prior, if it doesn't exactly make me feel better. When she's done going through my long list of mistakes, Jen flicks a hand towards back to the PCs. Come on, queue up a game against me. I told Jet that I wasn't feeling up to practice after we played a few more one-sided games. She seemed annoyed, but agreed with my suggestion to take a short break. Back in high school, I used to spend most of my time at the library when class was over. To be honest, this is probably the most time I've willingly spent outside my room since then. I'm not the type to go read for fun or study diligently, but it was nice to have a place to go and be on my own. I've missed those afternoons since I graduated. But Golden Zone Fire is a good replacement hangout as I could hope for. It's clean and comfortable, and it's pretty much everything I need to stay 24/7. That is an exaggeration. Some of the patrons here look like they're practically glued to their chairs. With a milk tea from one of the vending machines in hand, I return to my seat from across the jet. She isn't wearing the same scowl from earlier, but I can tell she'd rather be practicing. What are you drinking? She snatches up the can from across her and takes a long sip. Coffee. What kind of coffee? Coffee is coffee. I don't drink sugary junk. Me neither. I just drink tea and milk and stuff like that. But mostly like milk, water, juices and stuff like that. But even then, not much on the juice side of things anymore. And for the record, it's obnoxious to challenge someone that you don't know to a match. Is it really such a big deal? I just want to practice the game against a good player. Seems harmless to me. Do you know those types that stream snipe and start shit on message boards so that people pay attention to them? More than a few come to mind. That's you, except you did it in real life. Cut me some slack. How do you know that guy anyway? His name is Bolt? Yes, he plays for Shock T1. Shock, huh? Bolt must be a new recruit. He hasn't paid much attention. I haven't paid much attention to them or any other Brood War teams since StarCraft 2 came out. But he definitely wasn't on their roster a year ago. Right, but how do you know him? Jet clicks her tongue and breaks her gaze away from me. I silently appreciate the reprieve from her death glare. If you must know, he and I went to the same middle school. I was in the class above him. Huh. Okay. I think he might have knocked you out of a tournament or something. I was thinking he might have knocked you out of a tournament or something. No, I never played him in the Star League. You don't need to overanalyze anything. Silence falls between us while Jet nurses what remains of her drink. I can't tell if she's into coffee or if she's trying to find something to occupy her lips other than our conversation. I doubt Jet spends much time at PC Bangs, given she's got a team house to practice from. I should consider myself lucky that she made time to come out here after all. You know it makes 0 sense for you to focus on qualifying for VSL, right? I blinked myself from my thoughts to meet Jet's intense stare. What do you mean? What's the point of meeting up to practice then? No, I'm not saying... Listen. I want to round up some players. For what? For VSTL. Team League? But you're already on a team. Yeah? Yeah? She wavers, considering whether or not to tell me what I've already figured out. You're leaving VIP? Jet's eyes jump from mine, brows raised in surprise and then furrowed in annoyance. She's been on VIP for almost a year and is by far the team's best player. Management barely pays attention as nobody's motivated. They're worse than bad. They're complacent. I want a fresh start. Hey, I'm not guilting you. It isn't just something I expected to hear. Do you have a team house picked out or anything like that? No, not yet. What about a coach? No. Do you have players in mind? Look, it's a work in progress, okay? I edge away from her glare and raise my hands defensively. Okay. I won't ask again. For a while, silence. Jet does her best to avoid eye contact, but I can tell she's thinking hard about something. Just as I'm about to rise to replace my milk tea with another, she speaks. You know all about all those new foreign teams popping up recently, right? Yeah, what about them? Isn't it strange? They're worse than almost every Korean squad, yet most of them have more sponsors. Well, there are a lot of esports fans outside of Korea these days. People want to support their hometown heroes. I don't think it's that simple. What? Where would the money come from if not the fans? Idiots. What? Idiots. Idiots call themselves investors. Idiots that throw away money keeping mediocre players afloat because it makes them feel good inside or for whatever reason. Well, she and Bolt agree on one thing at least. Okay, are you going to find some idiots to sponsor you? No. Well, she takes a long moment to reconsider her answer. Let it stew a little. No, it wouldn't work out in the end. What I'm getting at is that too much of our scene ignores the foreign fan base. It's a huge mistake. Well, there's the time zone difference and a language barrier. Also, I don't know if you know this, but lots of foreign fans don't find Korean players entertaining. What? How dare you? That's ridiculous. I'm just relaying common knowledge. Don't hold me accountable for the opinions of Silver Leaguers. Most Western fan support goes to people who entertain well. Streamers, casters, those kinds of people. The most famous players in your scene aren't the best? That's appalling. Hey, don't pretend Brune Noir didn't get famous on the backs of dudes who looked good on camera. If the PC bang was on the ship, then fangirls pulled the oars. That's different. They were pretty and skilled, not just one or the other. And show some respect. Those dudes aren't the only reason, are the reason you and I are able to have this conversation. The sharp response and equally sharp glare suggests that I shouldn't argue the point. Jet knows better than I do anyway. We're getting off topic. There are tons of potential fans that most Korean teams ignore simply because they're too hard to connect with. Yeah, I agree. She lifts an eyebrow and stares at me just for a bit too long before glancing away. If I wasn't sure before, I am now. Go on, say it. Say what? I know what you're thinking. No, you don't. Yes, I do. What am I thinking then? You want me to join a new team because you're starting You want me to join a new team you're starting so that I can help you with the foreign fan base. Also, you invited me here to try out under the guise of practice. I think I'm right. Jet sumps back in her seat, defeated. I fight a losing battle against the urge to laugh. Don't look so smug. Ugh, I hate dealing with team management. You could always hire a manager. Before we have any players, maybe I should just keep my head down and practice. No, don't do that. I think it's a good idea. You're only saying that because I gave you an offer. Maybe, but hey, if you go through with this, I'll do whatever I can to help. How are you convincing me to go after my own idea? Damn it. She chews on her lip. Likely considering the harrowing risk of leaving her team. I can't make any commitments until at least we have some other players. It'd be stupid for me to move out of the VIP house without everything lined up. This is something I've been thinking about for a while, even if I don't have every detail hashed out. I want to keep overhead low and practice times high. Lean and mean. She aims her finger at me. Her dull nail a hair's breadth out before my nose. Alright. If you're going to be a part of this, you're going to pull your weight. You can start by searching for our players, unless you would rather find me a coach and sponsor. I cringe backwards and raise my hands. No. I'll leave you to that. Good. It'll work out better this way. The minimum number of players for a team is 4. So we need to find out at least 2. You know, this isn't exactly what I had in mind as the ideal join a team experience. Walk away if you'd like. You have a long way to go if you want to be anything other than translator mascot anyway. I'll admit though, Estelle was right. I see glimpses of high-level stuff in your play. But as of right now, you kinda suck. Even by foreigner standards. Offense intended. You seriously need to be busting your ass. Coming to Korea is pointless if you're still practicing Western hours. Well, nobody claimed that Jet wasn't honest. I'm going to work you and everyone else like dogs. If this team comes together, I won't be happy with anything less than first place in VSTL. Well, I appreciate the chance. I have for a smile that's quick to match. Yeah. If we're going to go ahead with this, I've got a lot of stuff to do. The deadline to register for a team is in 2 weeks, so we can't afford to waste time. Get moving on your search. Alright, good luck. I'll catch you online. Yeah, later. When she's gone, I fall back into my chair and take a deep breath. Wow. Alright. So, that's where we're going to be ending this one today. So I'm going to quickly save. So, yeah, that's where this episode ended up. I think it's going to be pretty interesting because we're like getting a team together with Jet and we just like had a good game even though we lost. And yeah, we'll see where this goes. But other than that, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you liked it. And also hit the notification bell if you want to see more of my uploads. And, you know, they might not be too crazy common, but I want to make sure that everybody knows when I do upload. So if you're interested, go ahead and do that because it just makes sense. So other than that, I'll see you in the next one and we'll go further in this story. Doodles.